Welcome, 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 everybody, to the Mindset Elevator. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Back on the computer, the laptop here. I thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, helping the channel grow, especially to 55,000 subscribers. It's wild. I'm thankful for you guys, and I hope you guys have been feeling great. All right. We're going to be talking about a very interesting topic tonight, a premise tonight, which entails the fact that you outgrew a lot of people. Okay, things have changed, and you've grown up, you have evolved, you have turned into somebody that people do not recognize, right? People, have seen the growth and the leaps and bounds that you've, done, and the changes you've committed to. And it's no surprise that you're going to startle and shock a lot of people. Everybody, I'm telling you, it's changes that you've embarked on that have people talking, have people uncomfortable. People are not going to like you. People are not going to like the fact that you've elevated, that you've changed, that maybe you've changed your ways. You have new regimens. You've moved away. It could be a lot of things that new things you had to adopt, certain things you had to do to elevate yourself because you probably, in some capacity, wanted to elevate your life, wanted to change your life, wanted to change the outlook, the outcomes, open up more opportunities. That's just not going to fall into your lap, right? There has to be some serious changes that sometimes have to be put forth in order for you to enact, this life, live this life that you want to live. Everybody, I thank you guys for being here tonight. I see India. Happy Friday, India. Happy Friday, Josh. Nice to see you. Josh says they never knew me. I just evolved into my true self. That's a crazy thing too. That's wild too, if you really think about it. The fact that people may not have really known you, right? But they got accustomed to you. They got accustomed to the person you appear to be. Perhaps they got comfortable. Perhaps they became used to the person that they thought you were. They thought that you were never going to change, or you're never going to thrive, or you're never going to be somebody. Perhaps, like, maybe they thought, okay, you'd climb a little and you'd get a little, and that's about it. But for you, you have a much more enriched journey. And as soon as you found out and started living that way, you started to glow different. You started to live different and look different and vibe differently, because you've elevated. Perhaps you've opened your mind up to different possibilities. So you're able to live in a more broad way, which enhances your life. And people could see that you're being blessed in more ways because you've changed, right? Like, sometimes people have an aversion to change. They don't want to change. They don't want to see things from other points of view or other angles, right? And so they're going to be more stoic in their approach to life. They're going to say, you know what, this is that, and I'm going to be like this, and this is who I am. And okay, everybody's going to have to deal with me, right? That approach, it may work short term for a lot of people, but in order to really make an impact, and in order to really branch out and to really be yourself and to be more, to have more opportunities to see life in a different way, you got to change, right? You got to elevate. Exactly. Nice to see you, Kevin. Calvin, sorry about that. City says, long time no catch alive. I'm happy that you're here. Nadia, nice to see you. I thank you guys all so much for coming out tonight. Yeah, Joyce says, they never knew me, period. A lot of people just didn't know you for real, but perhaps you had to learn more about yourself too, right? And because you're now in this evolved state, right, where you know a lot more, you're more in tune with who you are, and you're moving in that way. People are going to be aggravated because you've made these changes. It's like you're just this different person, right? Who they don't recognize. Perhaps once again, they may not like the changes. They may not like the upgrades. They may not like the fact that you know more, that you're more in tune, that you're speaking out more, right? It could be to where you're healing, like you changing helped you to heal, or helped you to, get better, in certain aspects of your life. And so maybe people prefer the version of you that was sad or unhealed or melancholy and didn't know the way, but you know the way now, right? And it's never too late. to find your way and to realize that maybe you're lost or you've been, you just got to reroute and get back on track. It happens to everybody. But some people don't want to change. Some people, once again, have an aversion to change. They feel like change is going to destroy everything that they know, or it's going to taint everything they've been taught. And it brings into question, it makes you think, and it makes you have to act on these thoughts and change a lot of things. And some people, change is scary. You have to understand, for some people, change is scary, it's terrifying. So if you changed, right, for the better, doing great, not to say that you weren't doing great prior, but perhaps you're just doing a lot better now. You're glowing, you're doing well. This is something people fear, right? So, kind of like in a nutshell, if you're changing and they're scared of change, you could scare them. It could be strange how you're able to, recognize that things need to be altered and you got to move forward and you got to do certain things to make things happen. And you did that, right? They don't want to do that for themselves, but they see that you were willing to do it. That could terrify them. They're real close to somebody who was willing to put in that work despite the fact that it wasn't going to be easy, right? Change is not easy. Some little things here and there in our lives are easy to alter and to embellish a little here, a little there, it doesn't take too much. But when it talks about a makeover of your life or a change of your life or a complete overhaul of things that have gone awry or things that have been neglected, right? That is paramount, like that is massive, right? That's not a simple change. This is a life change. These are things that, could be painful to resurrect. These are, you might have to up and leave. Like, it's a lot of drastic things sometimes that may have had to take place, right? So that it's tough on the mind, and it could be tough on your resources, and just the fact that, it comes with admitting the fact that things are wrong, right? And that you need to change, or your situation needs to be improved, and it's going to take some work, but you're going to get it done, right? And with these changes, you're going to see some things aren't working for you anymore, right? Certain systems, certain practices, certain regimens that maybe you were, certain habits that perhaps you were partaking in for a long time aren't working. Maybe places you would frequent, they're draining you, certain people, certain aspects of your life. It's certain things that are a mismatch now. They're not benefiting you. It's like carrying baggage, it's not helping you, right? Sometimes you got to change and let people go. Well, that hurts, right? Moving away, that could sting. Maybe that's all you know. It's like a lot of things that had to be absolved and be dealt with in order for the change that you knew was right behind that, right? And Nadia says the new me has stronger boundaries. Oh, yeah. India says they don't believe in authenticity and openness. Mhm. This is water. I don't know. Anybody drink water from a thermos? Like a lunch, like an actual lunch container thermos? Doing it different over here. Exactly. India says the universe is not simple, and so the mindset shouldn't be either. Exactly. Exactly. Everybody, I'm telling you, with these changes, you could have outgrew people. And so now, because you could have outgrown people, maybe you're not hanging with certain people anymore, hanging with certain crowds. People could be feeling like you're acting like you're big and bad, like you're better than everybody else, because you've perhaps wiped your hands clean of what needed to be changed in your life. It could be the crowd, the groups, the dynamics that you're a part of. You may not hate these people, you may still love or respect these people, but at the end of the day, if it's adverse to what you wish for your life, then you're going to drop it, right? It's that's a big change. And it's adding to the glow, and it's adding to the lightness, to a weight being lifted off of your shoulders because of these changes that are freeing space for you in your life to make something of your life to the way that you want it to be. It's going to have its pros and cons, but the pros outweigh the cons, right? When you're able to take stock, take inventory of what's not working out. right? And you're making these changes where other people, they'll just sit in the filth. They'll just sit in the problems. They'll just dwell and make excuses for it. They'll keep going on and on about how things aren't fair and things aren't good and oh, everybody thinks they're this, they're that. If somebody really wants to change, they got to put in that work, right? And putting in that work is going to take a lot of mind, a mental stamina, right? To really change your life. A lot of times it's a mental thing first, right? Not just a physical getting up and altering things, right? You got to change your mindset first because your mind will hold you back, right? From these changes. Your mind can play tricks on you, right? For years you could be believing that something's good and it's all right until time goes on, you keep getting these signs over and over and over again that things aren't good and that things need to change. But your mind can play tricks on you because your mind also wants to keep you safe, right? And to keep you, feeling secure. But then you continue to be exposed to negative situations that are further holding you back and blocking you from changing, right? Or you could be hitting dead end after dead end and things are not working out, but you're thinking that you're doing the right thing and you think that you have all your bases covered, but really there could be blockages here that require change. They require something to, a road to be plowed, like a path to be paved, right? And change needs to be brought about in order for that new path to be paved. Baggage needs to be thrown out, mindsets need to be changed, right? You will outgrow people, you will outgrow concepts, you will adopt new concepts, you will learn about more things when you have an open mind because you're willing to open up your mind to welcome change, right? And then it helps to enhance your life. It's kind of like a chain reaction thing here that it's just an overflow of good ish. All right. Just an overflow of positivity because you're willing to change your life, change your ways, see things from a different lens, think for yourself, not have anybody influence your choices. You're grown, you could do whatever you want to do and you could have whatever you can set up your life however you want to set up your life, right? But that sometimes involves an upheaval, right? Sometimes that involves starting over, right? Cleaning the slate, trying again. A lot of people are afraid. That's why, I feel like a lot of people in certain job sectors or certain places that I go, I see a lot of people down and out, working in their fields. Certain people you could tell they've been working there for a long time, or they might verbalize that, oh, I've been working here for a real long time. But it's like, so why, what's with the dreariness, or what's with the sadness, or what's with the, they're not lively. And some people lose the the love for life. Some people lose the zest for life. Some people are doing things that they don't really want to do and they feel like there's nothing else good for them. They feel like they cannot achieve more or they cannot go higher because this is all they know, right? But that's all they choose to know, right? They've limited themselves. That's all they choose to know. This is what they've decided that was going to be their life, and they didn't expand and they didn't think of other, avenues. And so they have convinced themselves or they've conditioned themselves to believe that they're stuck and they're down and out. Sometimes these are the very same people that when you change or when you bring up, or maybe maybe this is somebody that you work with, right? It could be somebody that you literally work with that acts like that. They're there for 40 years and they're grumpy and they're rude and they don't know how to talk to people. Sometimes you might be wondering, like, why are they still on the team? Like, how are they still having a job here? How is this acceptable? You might come with a vibrance, you might come with exuberance, you might be having good conversations with the people that you're servicing, and then the grump, right? The grump will attack you, right? Because they don't like the fact that you're bringing change or you're shifting the environment for positive, in positive ways. You could be doing everything that you can do, that you should do. You'll be attacked for changing the face of things, right? And it seems so backwards. It doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, when you bring a different vibe, when you bring a different energy to a place, to people, to establishments, right? Some people will take kindly to that, and some folks are going to detest you, right? They're going to look at you and scrutinize you because you bring clarity, perhaps you bring positivity, right? You have a different flair, maybe. Maybe you have, once you get a more broader way of seeing life, you could be talking to people that see things only one way. So there's no getting through to them. They'll debate you. They'll they'll say, that's not what I learned in the textbook. That's not correct. I learned something else back in my day. Well, now it's my day. Now it's everyone's day. Everybody can learn something new on any day, right? They don't want to see things like like I had went to get some forms filled out at this place a few months ago, and it involved a paralegal having to notarize the document remotely, right? So when I went to the establishment to give them the form that I had notarized remotely, the woman was telling me that they don't accept this type of documentation because it's never done this way. She never in her whole 25 years of working for the government that she's never seen things done this way, right? And I told her, well, things have changed. You know what I mean? A lot of services are online. If it wasn't, why do they offer these services online if it's illegitimate, right? So she's like, I'll take it. I'll take it, but I don't know. You might get a quick call back saying you got to come and fix it. You may have to go to the paralegal's office in person and get it done that way. And I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense. I already paid for the notary online. So so somebody did call me back afterwards and they're like, hi, you know, this document looks different. Like they're making it seem like it's some scam, right? And they don't want to see that things have changed. And they'll treat you odd. They will treat you like you're an oddball because you're bringing forth details or information that is what not it's foreign to them, which it shouldn't be. And it really made me wonder, are these people living in a box? What's going on? Like, yes, there are online notaries, right? They offer do you need the paralegal's ID number? You know what I mean? Like, come on now, right? So I told the woman it's kind of foolish that you guys are making it so difficult. What if somebody was unable to physically come into your office to provide this information? What if they were physically, you know, you know what I mean, right? What would you do then? Right? How would they be able to get service? Like, what if somebody else had an issue to coming to your office? What if they only had online services, right? So I told them, like, nah, you guys can't be playing these games, right? And so I don't see why you guys can't accept this information. And then she had to call me back afterwards. She's like, okay, we accepted it. I guess I changed the whole thing going on there. I guess I changed the whole, I bet they never rejected nobody after that, right? Because they're saying you're the first person that came into this office and gave us something that was online, processed online. It's like, come on, man, come get with the times. Some people don't like change. They think that you're trying to size them up. You're going into their place of work trying to size them up, trying to fool them, right? That's how that woman was acting that day. I was trying to fool her or pull the wool over her eyes. And she was super cocky and thinking that I was wasting my time, right? Coming there and doing that. And I was trying to explain to her, and she looking at me like, like she looking at me like I have lost my mind, right? But no, I'm with the times and I'm paying attention and my mind is broad and I notice a lot of things. I have a lot of resources. A lot of things are online, very useful, very much, the same as what you would get in person, sometimes even more reliable. Let's be honest here, right? That's why they have online banking. You don't got to go and see the teller stand in line, shift your feet. It could be like that. Some people are just afraid of change. If you bring change, if you bring alertness, if you show people that things are current and you have information and it could expedite things, it could help change things, people are going to be upset, right? Like, who are you? Who are you to tell me how things go? You're not trying to trouble nobody. You're trying to bring forth clarity. Times are changing, times are shifting. We're trying to stay current, we're trying to stay up to date respectfully and also educate, right, about things that are the landscapes are changing across multiple sectors, right? Nothing to be offended by, but people are going to be offended. Of course, I'm always polite, I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm not going to start a fight, right? This is a government building. I'm not gonna start, I'm not gonna do all that. Um, some people just, they play coy. India says they were stuck in high school and preschool. Yep. Nice to see you, Sharon. Daniel says, tired of being polite. Hey, man, don't change your heart. If you're called to be polite and you're called to be kind and uplifting, you do that. You don't change that for nobody, okay? That's what I had to learn. You can't make nobody turn your heart cold because, and people are going to, I'm telling change, change. Certain things will never change, right? Certain things, certain aspects of ourselves will never change, especially if you have a good heart. You're born and born here to change the face of things. Your heart and your soul is pure. You're going to go out there and you're going to seek things to do that aligns with your spirit, right? No matter how many drastic changes you've had to embark on, there's certain things that never change. They just get more finely tuned or maybe just refined in general, but they don't actually alter your heart, right? You could have been screwed over many times, right? But you'll still give your shirt off your back if somebody is in need, even though, some people could have, you know, hurt you or took advantage of you in certain situations. It's like your heart space does not change to that degree. Perhaps you just alter the way that you're able to service people or who you service. Maybe it's somebody personally who keeps, taking advantage. You could deal with that guy or that woman in the correct way. That doesn't mean that people out there, they're not going to see you or you're not going to love them, you're not going to cherish them, right? We just change the way that we interact. We alter the way, the methods, of how we interact with certain people or, what we do in certain places, how we approach a situation, right? India says they want to taint good hearts. India says they get envious of people with genuine happiness. Exactly. Change. They don't like the. Nice to see you, Cam. Nice to see you, Dubs. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Yep. They don't like that you've changed. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who do not like the fact that you have changed, that you have elevated. Maybe they see it in a way like you surpassed them. It's not fair. How come you have something that they don't have? Like, how did you achieve this in this time frame, right? How come it's you and not them? Or what did you do? Who are you, right? What makes you so special, type of thing, right? We don't think we're more special than anybody out here. We're just willing to put in that work and willing to see the changes that have to be enacted, right? We're not sitting around dormant waiting for a miracle. We're ready to go and do what we have to do, right? To get into the position, to maintain that position. So, people could really be feeling like you outgrew them and that maybe the changes that you've embarked on involve boundaries, right? Being set up, certain systems that you had to adopt to protect your assets, to protect your livelihood, right? You're not just letting anybody and their mother come up in your life and and distort and disrupt and destroy the peace or whatever the case might be. It's like, no, you got boundaries. People are gonna come and they're gonna act like they don't like that. They don't like that they can't get away with certain things with you anymore because you've changed your tune, right? Like you're not inviting drama or you're not entertaining it, you're not going back and forth with it, right? So, the boundaries perhaps you had to put up are making people upset because they can't control the situation or they can't change your mind or they know that they don't have nothing with you changing, right? It's kind of like they're on the outside of the change and they can't infiltrate it and they can't alter it for you, right? That they're kind of like a bystander in the change that you've embarked on. They're seeing the growth, they're seeing the success building, they're seeing that you're turning into somebody that they've never really known, right? Maybe they didn't know that you had potential or they didn't see how broad, how big maybe somebody thought that you were just dreaming or thinking way ahead of yourself, but you're actually putting forth that work. You're actually putting your life into the proper configuration of what you want it to be. And folks are witnessing this and they're like, wow, they never would have thought that you would have changed to this degree. And it's cemented. It's not like it's a fleeting, state or phase. It's something that is cemented. It's something that is you, that has permanently changed, permanently shifted. Your mind is completely different. Your attitude could have really elevated. You're doing things that maybe you never used to do. You have opportunities that you never used to have. I mean, it's like it could be a lot of shifts. And with these shifts, it comes a lot of elevation, a lot of prosperity, a lot of clarity, a lot of resources, a lot of gifts, a lot of accolades, all come with you putting in that work, healing, growing, success, brewing, right? It's magnificent to us, but you're going to be met with a lot of people who just don't understand the change and once again are afraid of change. So in turn they could be fearing you and fearing what you're going to do next with this new path that you're on. And how vast is it? How deep are you into this change? What are they going to see? What are you able to produce, can they beat that? Can they join you, right? Can they take something from you? It's going to be all different types of situations stirring. Yep. India says they took the old us for granted. Why would we want to still be that? Right? Right. India says the old me let ish slide. Not anymore. Nothing gets past me now. Nothing. It's like we notice everything, we peep everything, even if we say nothing at all. And that can come with a restraint, right? That comes with just self-control and keeping certain details under wraps because not everybody has to know every single stage that you're meeting or at this current time, right? A lot of things can just be willfully, remaining under wraps, until you're ready to reveal, if ever, right? To whoever, right? So, or sometimes when you see things for what they really are now and you're moving in that way, that is a massive change. Your intuition is more finely tuned and you're able to use that to enhance your life, right? To where you can make more cohesive moves because you could feel what is good for you, you could see what is not, you could see what is toxic, you could see what needs to go, and that helps to enhance your world, right? And you're going to feel it that shifts need to be made, that you'll just drop habits cold turkey one day, right? Because it's destroying an aspect of your life or it's compromising your forward movement. So many habits I had to drop, like I never did it. And it could just come about like you don't, sometimes you could have been mulling over it, other times you just wake up and you say I'm done today, and you start moving that way, and it's about change, and sometimes change is rapid, sometimes change you have to move quick, right? You have to boogie, you have to do something quick. And other times change is gradual and tedious and cumbersome and difficult, sometimes emotional, right? It's not easy, right? Some people feel like change is really a difficult thing to do. And Nadia says we must be aligned with truth. Absolutely. Brian, nice to see you. Sharon says, I am who I am, and I've always been that person. And Sharon, thank you kindly for that generous donation there. I really appreciate that. Ron says, energy truly does not lie. Josh says, because the truth shall set you free, and then the matrix can't control you. Control is a lot for people these days, and changing when you start living for yourself and doing things for yourself and doing things for you because it makes you happy and it makes you elevate, and you're not too worried about who feels any type of way about that. You're going to see that that also disrupts how other people or organizations or situations can control you or have a grip on you, right? Because when you're changing things for you to make it more reinforced, make it more solid, make it more suitable for you, it makes it less tangible, less malleable for the outsiders to control. And it's a lot of people looking to control you and to control the outcome of your life, or the cap. They want to put a cap or a limit to whatever it is that you seek. And so no, sometimes boundaries have to be put forth. Sometimes you got to put in that distance. Sometimes you got to switch the job, switch the career. Maybe something you bought into isn't helping you or isn't working out for you as you thought it would. So many changes we will see that need to be put forth in order for us to live our best lives. Sometimes us living our best lives is literally, you know, being held in suspense for these pending changes. And without putting forth these changes, it's going to be slow. It's going to be tough. It's going to feel like something's missing or multiple things are missing, right? So sometimes our own blessings get blocked because we're not willing to change or to reform or to, take inventory of things that are wrong and deal with it, right? That's why some people are very miserable in this lifetime, right? Very miserable, don't want to change nothing, don't want to act like everything's cool, want to act like everything's all right, when some things could be awry. And it calls for change, right? It calls for a spring cleaning. And there are multiple phases throughout every year where you're going to look at your life and you're going to look about what needs to be changed, what needs to be upgraded, what needs to be downgraded. How can I, navigate my life right now? How's everything looking? Do I need this? Is this helping me? Is this draining me? Like, what do I do? This is not a one-time thing. This is a continuous cycle that happens multiple times over our lives. We got to change. We got to adjust. We got some people, they stay put, they're rigid. They don't want to change. They know change is knocking at the door. They don't want to answer the door, right? They don't want to admit the fact that change needs to be enacted because it involves discomfort, right? And they don't want to feel the symptoms of change. So they rebuke it, they reject it, and they'll reject you or people in general that are on this transformative journey, are on this whole change tip. Right? So hey, change looks good on you, change feels good to us, but not everybody is with those movements, right? Not everybody's with that. Some people are uncomfortable with having to change, with having to recognize that things aren't the way they used to be, right? Some people can't adjust to the person that you are because they remember somebody else. They could remember you as an unhealed person, maybe less knowing, maybe less vocal, right? Maybe less successful, or, you know, not a lot of resources. It could be people remembering other states of you that are no longer current, right? And so when they see you now, right, it's causing a mental conflict. Like they cannot adjust to the changes that are actually, current and 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 now. Right? They want to say, "Oh no, you used to be like this 15 years ago. I remember when you used to do this and do that. What happened to you? I thought you were still." People change, man. Right? Do we got to spell it out? Right? It's like people change. That was a while ago, right? I'm not into that now. I'm not living there now. I'm not doing that now. Like I'm different now. I mean, like to the core, personality wise, you might be still the same vibrant person. You might still be you, right? Whoever you feel to be, that could still be you to the core. But no, your circumstances could have changed. Your outlook on life could have changed. Your approach, how you talk to people, how you approach life could have really shifted, right? Things that were weighing you down, they're not weighing you down anymore. You dealt with your troubles. You're going through the motions. You're dealing with it. It's not consuming you. Maybe it was really holding you back. Now you're able to move forward. It may not be fully gone. You may not be fully healed, but you've been on that path to healing, which has really centered your focus, right? Really brought you back down, helping you to see your path that is yours, right? Your path is yours, right? So you got to traverse down it and enjoy it And along the way, it's going to be a lot of opportunities to change, to upgrade, to downgrade, to do this, to shift that, to start over again. None of those are bad, right? These are good things, right? Cleaning the slate, sometimes it has to be done. Some people do not want to erase or to move on from all they know, right? It's but some people must, right? In order for them to live the life that they wish to live, they got to move on, move away, get away from whatever's holding them back. There is nothing wrong with that, but people will make you to feel like there is something taboo or odd or off-putting about making this drastic choice, because it is drastic choice. These could be really drastic, right? But they are necessary into living the life you want to live. India says we change for the better and they change for the worse. Sometimes your growth can bring the worst out of people. You might think people are happy for you, and the moment that you change, or the moment that they start seeing that your life has really, truly, definitely shifted, they're gonna act like life sucks, or that you know that there's something odd about the change, or there's something strange about you doing different things and having different ways of doing things. It's wild. India says we're focused like a freight train. Yep. India says they're unhappy being stagnant, but they are comfy in it. It's the weirdest thing. It's so refreshing to change for the better. Absolutely. Stagnant, closed off. Um, there's nothing wrong with being old fashioned. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with appreciating things of the past, right? Relics, ideologies, you name it, like different thought processes, different things. Some people like to live that way. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But you got to have respect for the people that do like change, do like things that are current, do like things that reinforce their forward movement, right? So, and not to hate, not to spread hate and negativity to people who want to change, right? Because I've been met with a lot of backlash, and I've seen people embarking on change and the hate that they get. I've seen people who have turned their life around. Not that they were horrible people to begin with, but that they've really made leaps and bounds from who I knew them to be, right? And then I see their friends dropping. I see the attitude around these people, and the cut eyes, and the the cold reception, right? That people who want to be different and who want to change get. And it's like, who would have thought that wanting to change your ways, or wanting to change the scenery, or wanting to do something different, clean the slate, would get a cold reception, right? Like, who would think that, right? But it does. It does. And some people, like, some people could be stagnant. Just like India said, people could be stagnant and stuck and okay with being stuck. They don't care. They might think their situation is quite suitable for them. Like, they might feel kind of like a pull here and there, like, oh, I wish I. But then when they see somebody actually zooming high, achieving great things, different mindset, different vibe, coming with the energy, coming with the positivity, looking fresh, looking good, doing well, changing their ways, dropping the habits. Everything's shifted for this person. Now, this person is glowing in every capacity, right? Now, the people who were stagnant and comfy, as India has described here, become, you know, uncomfortable, right? Either uncomfortable with their own personal predicament, or uncomfortable that they're so close to somebody who is on a positive path and who has changed. Now they look at their own situation like, should I really be feeling so good, so high and mighty, right? They start comparing and contrast. They start complaining about their life. They start complaining, and without actually invoking any kind of change here, right? It's just complaining endlessly, or tit for tat games to no end. and not actually willing to get to the meat of the matter, which is them having to change their ways, right? Or change the outlook. Nadia says they prefer to live in illusions that give them false comfort. That's really dangerous on the mind. I am not a mind doctor, but I can only imagine that if you choose to live in illusions, right, that it's going to be detrimental to how you move, right? It's going to be very difficult to live real because you don't your situation is a fantasy, or you're glossing over the obvious issues that need to be rectified, right? I know a lot of people, and have known of people who they don't see reality in the way that they ought to, right? You try to tell them something and they're huffy and they're dismissive and they don't want to hear from you, but they'll copy you, right? They'll do certain things, like they'll copy you, or they'll try to mimic and posture. And they're enticed to do this because it's like somebody like you maybe living that way, living the free life, living the good life, changed life, elevated, transformed life, right? Can't tell these people nothing, but they will copy. They'll sit back, they'll watch you, they'll copy, right? But then still, you could tell certain things have not changed that ought to change, right? And so it's best to either, to probably just get to the root of the matter and just deal with the situation head on, which is an internal conflict, right? A lot of the times, a lot of the issues that we have in our lives are inner issues, not outwardly issues. So you can only imagine that when you actually change your ways, you actually shift your mindset, elevate your life, get rid of your rubble. Whatever's not working, you get rid of it. You elevate, you study, you educate, you do everything you got to do, right? Not because somebody told you to, but because you feel compelled to, because it's, what your life, what you want for it. And you can only imagine that it took a lot of inner strength to get to that position and to get to that mindset of even doing that. So the outside world is going to see that you do have a lot of strength and you're not afraid, right, of nothing. And so you could spook them, you could worry them because you're a riveting individual that they see is not scared and not worried about embarking on change that's going to elevate them. They see the synchronicities. They see that since you've done certain set of things, your life has taken off. And maybe, just maybe, they could do the same thing too, but they're scared, right? A lot of people are just scared. That's just the truth. That's probably the biggest reason why people don't want to change it, because they're afraid of it. They are afraid. Fear is everywhere. Fear is People fear what they don't know, what they feel like they cannot control. But you can't control everything, right? That's life. You can't control every single thing. You could try your best to kind of, guide your life and do certain things to try to push the trajectory, your way, the way you want it to be. But things come up, but you still know what you want and you still try to get back on that track and you work towards that, right? But some people are just afraid of what they feel like they cannot really control. They might fear failure, they might fear that something doesn't work out, or they might fear having to do things by themselves. I know a lot of people who refuse to change because they're dependent people, right? Like they're codependent. They never got their own feet going, walking, doing their own thing. They have people doing the walking for them like an exoskeleton, right? And so now when it's finally time for them to change, to elevate, a lot of times when you got to elevate, you got to break free from something. You got to change something drastically, and a lot of people are not raised that way, or uh, they always rely on somebody else to carry them. So now it's time for this change that requires their mind, their skill set, their movement, their, you know, wanting it, and they don't know how to do it, right? Because they've never had to. They've never had to think for themselves and go out there and, so you'll see how they act, you'll see how they live. A lot of the times they mirror each other. But a lot of people are scared of change, and so they'll flat out reject it. Maybe they'll go back to what was causing them the discomfort, right? They feel like it's just safer, it's just better, even if it's not suitable because it's all they know, right? And then they continue to dwell, get more miserable, get more bitter, watching other people doing it for real and being in the position they want to be in for real, and not always being it's not always being happy for other people. And that's the truth. Yep. Stand fast says fear is not real. It was it was invented to stray you off your path. Right. Right. Larry says people who don't want you to change and become despondent over the fact that you're growing, leave people like that. I find these people are dangerous. Yeah, because there's an element, Larry, here of wanting to control, right? Wanting to have a hand in something, wanting to have somebody around you or a situation, you staying tethered or tied to a situation. People worried about certain, your status, your social standing, how you're going to be looked or viewed, or if you're going to leave them behind, right? It could be a lot of things. But I could totally see where you feel that people could be it could be a dangerous way to see things, right? That, oh, I don't want you to change. I have such an adverse effect to someone changing that I'm going to do this, this, and this, or I'm going to act like this, and this when they bring this up. And um, it's definitely not good for the mind. Nadia says, never signed up to be in their mind games. Right. Ron says, I got sick of the negativity hanging around them. Ron says, I started going to the gym and going to therapy, and my so called friends clowned me. I wonder, and it's odd because it could be so many different things, so many resources that we use at our disposal to try to elevate ourselves, to heal, to get better, to get clarity, to get more, to get up, whatever it is that we want. And people will shame us or belittle us for these changes as if they're perfect, as if not. So, of course, it's unfortunate, right? But you're going to be ridiculed because you're deciding to reroute. You're deciding to change the way that you do things. You're deciding to not be sad all the time, not be down and out all the time. Now you're going to take a stand. Taking a stand is what people they will mock it, but low key, they know it's going to change your life. And they'll see it. They might think it's hocus pocus at first until they start seeing the shift. When they start seeing the shift, it's undeniable proof that whatever it is that you embarked on is actually working in your favor, right? And now you're glowing. Now you're going up. Now, are they mocking you still? You know what I mean? When they start seeing you getting fed and your mind is clear and you're dealing with your emotions better, are they still going to mock you? Right? They see that you're vibrant, you're no longer in that state, so you're able to go out there and live freely and live good. Before, maybe it was not possible. Now it is. Are they laughing now? Maybe they're jealous now, right? A lot of people just get jealous when you get out of a dark space. I've seen it. I've seen people like, oh yeah, they'll talk to you when you're down and out. When your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you, or vice versa, or something goes wrong in your life, a lot of people will hug you and let's go get some coffee, let's have some croissants, whatever the case might be. And they'll pretend to be there for you. They'll pretend to care for you until they see you pick yourself up, right? You pick yourself up and you change your ways and you're healing inside out and you're living life to the fullest now. Now people are not laughing. Now they're mad. Now they're jealous. Now they're upset. Now they're wondering, why are you so happy? Why are you so giddy? Last week you were crying. Last month you were sad. What's going on now? People change. People elevate. There's always room to grow. There's always room and ways to grow, Josh says, for sure. Stan Fast says, once you realize you are being drained and not valued, you will change your mindset, for sure. David says, greatest wisdom comes from great struggles. Absolutely. And Ron says, your transformation invalidates their constant state of misery and constant excuses. Right. You show people that change is possible, that when you do change, it can work out heavily in your favor. You will get blessed, you will get more. It's not always going to be easy. No one said change was easy, right? It's going to come with a lot of hard lessons, a lot of different things that you got to adjust to, a lot of new schedules, new regimens. No one said it was easy over here, right? But sometimes it is required. And it's better that way. And you become alchemated with this new way of living. You become more cemented, become more in tune with it. People will watch that. People will watch it. People will be scared of that. Be scared that you were willing to embark on this journey, and you've elevated above a lot of situations, right? Like you're not the same woman, you're not the same guy, So change is good, and you ought to continue on that journey and welcome it. Not to say every single time you got to do this whole switcheroo, right? Sometimes little tidbits here and there can be put forth, and sometimes you could, rescind this, put that, and you know, it's these are continuous phases that continue to take place throughout all of our lives. Yeah, and David says you learn to how to adapt, not responding to foolishness. Correct. And it's a lot of people who are so against your transformation and change. These are the same people who don't do nothing with their life. They don't even try. They don't even try, because think about it. Why would a fellow uh, changer, why would a fellow person with a mindset like yours hate on you, right? Or be jealous or be vindictive towards you if they're doing the same thing? It's highly unlikely that they'd posture themselves this way. It's always the person who's not doing nothing. They're not doing nothing. They sit around, they complain, they moan, they groan, they talk about how life is not fair, right? How life is mean to them, how people are mean to them, how people don't help them, this, that, and the third. And a lot of the times they're getting triggered by people around them who are doing well, who are not making no excuses, who see that their life is going in a way, things need to change, things need to be fixed up. Like, we're not sleeping on ourselves. We're doing what we got to do. We're going to keep doing what we got to do. But some people will just sit back and watch you do what you got to do, seeing it working, and still complain and sulk and moan and just feel like life isn't fair for them. And or they'll do the opposite. They'll overcompensate. Sometimes they'll do their ish aggressively, right? Like, oh, look at me, hamster wheel. It's a hamster wheel, right? Where these people will overcompensate. They'll try to make it seem like, they're doing good, they're doing well on this hamster wheel, because they see people around them actually doing well, actually changing, actually shifting. When you're on a hamster wheel, it looks like you're going fast. You know what I mean? It looks like you're going fast, but it's a loop, right? It's the same old ish. It's you're posturing, right? And some people are like that. You're going to meet a lot of people like that who pretend, right? They pretend for the optics of things, right? Like they pretend for the looks, for the appearances, right? We've seen cases where people, bye mom, they get into their whip, they drive away, supposedly going to their university, and they're hanging out at their boyfriend's house, and they're flunking, and actually they were never enrolled in that university, but they had to pretend. They had to pretend that they did this big change, that they did this big shift, and they're going to be real success. People pretend, man. People pretend, but the real thing, it just comes off clean. It just rolls off of you. It's like a wave, like it just comes off, and it is what it is. And so, you don't have to fake the funk, right? A lot of people do. A lot of people swear that they're okay with their situation until they see that you maybe were not, but you were willing to change, right? Like anybody could be not okay with their circumstances, but it's which side of the coin are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to continue to subject yourself to a life you don't like without and just dwelling in your misery because you feel like you have no way out? Or are you going to do what's on the flip side, right? Which is change things so that you could have a more suitable life, a life that you feel is more of your style, of your taste. What are you going to do? Right? So I prefer not to be in a hamster wheel. I prefer to just go the way I want to go, right? And not be bound and not be stuck. And I always encourage everybody to just do things your own way. Do not be a conformist, right? Do not put yourself in a box because other people put themselves in a box. Now they feel like life sucks, right? Life is beautiful. Life is sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this world that are not good, right? There's a lot of people in this world, a lot of world's residents that are not great, right? A lot of circumstances that we face that are negative, that are dreary, but life is sweet. I mean, if you think about it, life is really, really sweet every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. Like, I mean, if you really put in that work, if you really live life the way you want to live it, it's going to be the sweetest life you've ever lived, right? But if you pretend and you sulk over situations that you can change and you never want to get up and try, then life is going to look like that, right? Life is going to look like how you feel inside, right? If you neglect your mind, your life is going to be neglected. It's an endless cycle. It's like a hamster wheel. You got to get off at some point and clean up the mess and get your mind right and go back on track, reroute, do what you got to do so you can live your best life. And that's the truth. And when you do that, you will grow. And when you grow, you will outgrow a lot of people, places, and things, right? And it's for the best. It's for and you'll meet new people, you'll see new places, you'll have new things. It's not like you're gonna have nothing. It's not like you're gonna be lacking. You're gonna be overflowing, right? Because you are willing to change. So everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. I hope you guys, I don't know why this, even on the computer here, like the chat is not uh fully current. But yeah, there we go. Technology, right? So everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the premise of the stream as well. Change is good, and you're gonna go once again. You're gonna outgrow people, places, and things, and that's okay. You're just making space and making way for new, and it's gonna elevate you. And maybe that idea or that piece of inspiration or that dream that you've been mulling over is dormant at this current time because it requires a prerequisite, which is for you to change something, right? Change. You'd be surprised the doors that change opens up, right? And only you would know for your circumstance what is required, right? And what needs to be done. Maybe you know, and now it's time to actually do it. And there are caveats, right? Change is not always pleasant. It's not always rapid. It's not always fun. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes you to make rash choices, things that get you to like drop everything cold turkey. It could be whatever it is for your situation, but it's going to be the best thing you ever did if this is your story, right? So I thank you guys so much for being here on this stream. I hope you guys liked it. And for those who are here, you guys saw I did a video today. A few months ago, I was doing videos on Friday mornings as well, in addition to the stream. So a lot of things have been going on. So I'm going to be doing that again. So always look out now on Friday mornings ish for a video that I'll be posting on Fridays as well. Kind of want to just go back to the original way that I was doing my content uploading prior, right? So I thank you guys. And I appreciate you guys very, very much. I thank you guys all for the generous donations tonight, for all the watches, for all the likes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I thank you guys for all your support once again for 55,000 subscribers. Of course, I'd like to see the channel continue to grow, but I'm always good here to just happy to vibe out. And I'm very thankful to see how things have come along and how things are going. And so everybody here who's been here, thank you guys so much for tuning in, where you guys are all tuning in from. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend, and enjoy life to the fullest. And do not reject change. All right. It's going to help you. It's going to help you. All right, everybody. So thank you. Nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I'll see you guys soon. Okay. Bye.